Hello world, this is Wilson coming at you, and I'm joined with JP,
Yo.
Cam,
What's up?
and O,
What's up?
and we're the Shepherds of Men. Welcome to the movement. Today's episode is being a resolute man. This is the first time announcing this to the Shepherds, so their feedback should be genuine and unrehearsed. I, for one, am looking forward to their input. So I have some questions that I want us and the listeners to really consider. Answer these questions truthfully to yourself. You might be upset, and that's okay. Just remember to become better through this. Here are the questions. What is a resolute man to you? Resolute, by definition, is purposeful, determined, and unwavering. With that definition, are you a resolute man? Are you purposeful? Are you determined? And are you unwavering? So in order to find out if we are purposeful, determined, and unwavering, we have to first consider where we're going and what matters to us the most. Then we can plot a course to achieve it. We spoke about finding your purpose in the episode, Your Purpose is Whispering. If you've listened to the episode, the question is for you. Have you found your purpose? How often have you slowed down to consider where you're going? Have you ever stopped to think about what moves you emotionally, spiritually, physically, and mentally? What gets you going or gets you out of the bed every single day? We also talked about our non-negotiables, and I want to elaborate on this further. What are your non-negotiables? How resolute are you with your non-negotiables? Are you easily swayed? We all have to start somewhere, and I encourage you to take this seriously. Take the time to clearly define your purpose and your non-negotiables in life. Now that we've taken the time to lay down the foundation to your life, I believe a resolute man is one who is unwavering in his beliefs. He has a clear understanding of who he is and what he brings to the table. He's a man who challenges the status quo, a man that is not loved by everyone because he does the right thing and speaks truth. So guys, I'd like you to answer some of those questions or elaborate on being resolute in your decisions, your non-negotiables, and the things that I just discussed. Whatever feedback and perspective you want to give, go ahead.
I can tell you what it's not. Politician.
Yes, That's true.
Yeah, so you said a lot of it. I was literally writing stuff down and crossing it out as you were
But you can
talking,
elaborate
so you
on it.
said
Go
all
for
the
it.
shit that I was going to say. Thanks a lot, Wilson. So
Not really sure why we're here today.
I'm going to
JP.
pass. No, I'm just kidding. No, so I would agree. I think principle-based non-negotiables are two really, really big things. We talked about that when we started this. When we started Shepherds of Men, we talked about non-negotiables, and I thought early on when we were doing my damn A3 document,
Lord have mercy.
that was another tab.
That was
on
a
the-
negotiable right there.
But that was an important thing for me personally with this is I wanted it to be like we weren't swayed based off of what marketing company wanted to pay us based off of what we said and what they wanted us to present and stuff like that. We wanted to do it based off of what we believed was needed for society and for men in society. So I think the non-negotiables for me are a very big thing. In my household, there are certain non-negotiables. I'm very big on the whole terminology of give your kids enough rope to hang themselves. I do that with work too. I like to give people freedom because people will surprise you, and that's where you find the gems that. But anyways, there are certain things that are not
Right.
that are not enough rope to hang yourself. Like my kids know in my house, one of the non-negotiables is being disrespectful. You can spill milk, you can tear stuff up. Obviously don't intentionally be over here putting holes in the wall or something like that, but you know what I'm saying. Like stuff's going to happen. But there is no disrespect. You don't disrespect your mother. You don't disrespect me. And that's something that they need to learn. I think it's something they need to learn. It's going to be good, down the road. But those kind of non-negotiables are something that I have imposed into my household, I believe, or I instilled in my household. And most of those are based off of principles. And like we talk about it all the time. What's your pecking order in life? It doesn't have to be ours, but our pecking order, I think all of us can agree, is God, country, family, business. And that's how you make your decisions, right? So if business makes a decision that contradicts any of the others, then it's something we need to think about. It's because ultimately, if my business goes against what I believe as far as my faith in God, then I need to make a change. for me personally. Now, when you talk about a resolute man and being deep rooted, to me, I think of things in the nature of when the masses would normally affect an individual based off of their opinions on something, this person is not affected. They're not swayed and they don't question their principles. So I think in order to do that, you have to know what you want out of life and who you are. Like those are two really... Who you are.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Never gets old.
It doesn't. Never gets old. So I think those are two things that as far as what I'm concerned, those are things that I know. I want to be known as a God-fearing man that is a respectful individual that has an unbelievable amount of tenacity and will work my face off, and I'm hard as a woodpecker's lips. Like that's what I want. I want people to know me as, and I want my kids to know that I'm respectful. They would expect me to see me pick up a piece of trash. They would expect to see me hold the door for a woman or an elderly individual and stuff like that. Like those certain little principle things, like my kids would expect that from me because those are things that are unwavering. It doesn't matter if I'm in a hurry, or it doesn't matter if, somebody was laughing at me because they thought that I picked up a piece of trash at one of the sites and, you're a big shot and stuff. You're picking up trash, janitor? Yeah, I am. Doesn't bother me one bit. And that's just simply kind of a steadfast side of things. And I think that's where we need to get a lot of men back to. Yeah. Principle-based, non-negotiables in their lives that they could care less. Because nowadays, we're like willow trees. Like everybody is a branch hanging off the willow tree. It's just like, media says go this way. Wait. Go this way. No. We're not going to believe that anymore. So, and that's the kind of stuff. And to be honest with you, I think that's where you'll find it's just like they talk about productive people aggravate the shit out of non-productive people. Non-productive people aggravate the shit out of productive people. It's the same way with this situation. Yeah. Steadfast people that believe in
principles. Why do you got to make it all political?
Structure.
Right.
Because that's the freaking landscape
where we're at right now.
It is the landscape right now, but that's where we've got to in society now. We're all swayed based off of what the media tells us, what politicians tell us. You should be mad about this. You should not be mad about this. This is okay, but this is not okay. And for some odd reason, people that are not principle-based are just like, oh, yeah, okay. Well, now we're going to be mad about this.
Well, it goes back to what we were talking about in our last episode, Ante Up, which is your confidence. Where does your confidence come from? Like, if you're more confident in yourself or your situation or whatever, your household, then obviously you're going to be more resolute. So what are you doing to build that confidence? And what are your values? Like you said, your principles, your values. Like if you haven't identified those, then that's important. Like it's hard to have confidence in something that you don't know what it is, right? But once you've established those values, once you have those pillars or those cornerstones in place for your life, for your family, it's pretty simple, really. I mean, it really is pretty simple to be resolute. You got to have some backbone. You got to come to the table with a set. But there's got to be some things that are non-negotiables, that you are unwavering. And I, this is maybe an extreme example, but I just think as you guys were talking, I was thinking about like, what are some things that anybody would be resolute about? 99.9% of humans on Earth would say giving crystal meth to your kid would be a bad thing. Like that should be a non-negotiable.
That's a good example.
But seriously, like I know it's extreme.
No, it is. Yeah.
It's extreme. But like I think pretty much regardless of who you're voting for November 3rd, regardless of where you grew up, what country, what color you are, any of that stuff, regardless of all those things, I think we pretty much would all agree my kid's not getting any meth. Yeah. Right? So let's build on that, right. and that one's a no-brainer. That one you don't even really have to think of. You could just wake up, somebody could ask you that, we'd all have the same answer, right? So that's a value in a sense. What are some other values that you have in your life? Like what are some intentional values? Like where is your spiritual foundation? Mm-hmm. Where is your standard for health and your diet in your household? What is your standard? Because, I mean, there's some people that have everything that their kids get from a grocery perspective, it's negotiable. Yeah. Right? Now, again, it's a simple, but this is a mindset thing, right? So it's negotiable. If it's negotiable what your kids eat at every meal, you got problems. In my opinion, you're going to have some problems long term. You're going to have some obesity in your family because it doesn't really matter. What do you feel like eating? Doesn't really matter what you feel like eating. Let's be resolute about what's a good decision, right? What are your kids watching? What are they listening to? What are you watching? What are you listening to? Who are you hanging out with? These are all things that can affect your life long term. It can affect your kids' lives long term. So first identify what that is. First identify what's the end goal, and create a value-based system around that. And then go, okay, well, if this is truly what I believe, then this is non-negotiable. I'm not wavering here. And then it goes what JP was talking about. It ain't going to be easy, especially in today's climate that we live in. You're going to be told you're wrong so many times. You're going to have so many people's input and opinions, and a lot of times it's going to be because they love you and they feel like that's what's right. And you have to remind yourself that you're grown. You're an adult. You actually have a brain. You can make decisions for yourself. I don't care how old you were before they took the pacifier out of your mouth. It is no longer in there. So now you can make decisions based on your values. I don't care what your parents believed. I don't care what your teacher taught you. I definitely don't care what your professor told you in college, right? I don't even care what your pastor told you if it wasn't the right thing. You need to make decisions for yourself. Think for yourself, right, about what your value system is. It could be totally different than mine. It could be different than everybody at this table. But you make decisions for your life based on what your values are, and then be resolute about it. For God's sake, don't waver on it. Seriously, you could be wrong as hell. Just be wrong always. I'm dead serious. Like, I'd rather you be strong instead of be a weak ass. Like, believe in something. Believe in it and keep believing in it, regardless of who tells you you're wrong. I might come to your face and tell you, you're stupid. That's wrong. By God, if you waver on it, I was right.
Yeah.
That's true. So what's the importance of being resolute? Why does someone need to be that? And what power do they get from being that?
You're never going to go or get to where you want to be at in life if you constantly waver. If you constantly negotiate everything in your life, then you're never going to do anything great. The people that did great things went to extreme measures. And by extreme measures, I mean extreme measures to what the normal people would think. Like when people are like, dude, you got home at 1:30. Did you really have to sit there and read 10 pages? You fucking right I did, because it was a non-negotiable in my mind. That's extreme. Yeah, but that's a little ridiculous. Like, if you didn't read that 10 pages, dude, I don't give a shit.
Right.
It's a non-negotiable. Yeah. Part of my mentality and why I have so much self-confidence is because at 1:30 in the morning, I still read, where you wouldn't. That's where we're different. I love that phrase, we are not the same. And I think when you start to, so clarity comes from simplicity, right? So in order to create clarity in your life, in the direction that you're going and how to get there, you have to have solid principles. You have to have, and Cameron, you said it 4 or 5 times. You said it's simple. It's a matter of the pillars that are in your life that become non-negotiables, that are principles that you're going to follow, are going to carry you to where you need to be at. So that's where you need to spend some time with yourself. We've talked about meditation, things of that nature, and you've got to decide with what you want as an end goal in your life. Do you want to be known as an unbelievable father, husband, whatever it may be, an unbelievable evangelist, if that's your thing, or whatever it may be? Do you want to make a huge impact, little impact? And then all your principles and your non-negotiables should be based off of that. If I'm going to do this, I have to do these things. Like, this is going to have to happen. This is the person that I'm going to have to become. And then no matter if Taylor Swift said that it's not okay or that you shouldn't think like that, you do it anyways. It doesn't matter. I don't care if every single person on the planet.
But Beyonce said,
yeah,
right.
No, that's not what we should do. That's not right. Well, it doesn't matter. It's my principles, my non-negotiables. We are not the same, and we don't have the same goals in life. So I think it's important to keep you, because if you don't, then just like a boat without an anchor, right? You're just gonna wander, and you're gonna float back and forth and stuff. And then the thing that's really scary about it is, not that death is scary, but what scares me more than anything is losing 50 years of my life and going, holy shit, what happened? Because it will happen. Yep. And if you don't have solid principles that are guiding you in the direction that you need to go, then you're going to wake up 50 years from now and go, motherfucker.
And that will be it. That will be the whole statement.
And that's it. And I'm telling you, the nursing homes are full of them. Mm-hmm. The nursing homes are full of individuals that went, you have no idea how fast 50 years will go by.
Let's just think about how this whole word resolute, like, has there ever been anything great done that wasn't done by someone that was resolute. Like, I don't. How could it possibly happen?
Doubt it.
Like, countries founded, wars fought and won, industries created, whatever it may be. Men building generations of other good men and their families. I mean, like there's just none. You never think about those people. Sports, like, is somebody resolute to win championships? Like, you never think about like Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, some would say greatest soccer player ever, right? Pretty good from my understanding. I feel pretty confident you would never think about him, be like, I bet he's just kind of like wavering. Like, I bet he just kind of just goes with the flow and not really disciplined on what he needs to do to win the next game.
If he doesn't feel like it, he doesn't go to practice.
If he doesn't feel like it, like, yeah. Let's talk about the commander-in-chief, regardless of which one you like, over the last 45 that we've had. Like, at some point, they were pretty resolute. They were literally sitting in the most powerful office in the world. Oh, yeah. And so do you ever think about him just being like, well, now some of them I've kind of been like, well, he kind of maybe just popular.
Somebody propping him up. Is that a 2x4? Is that a 2x4?
What's that in his ears? Does he literally have those things on his eyes with a teleprompter on his eyelids? I mean, we're kind of moving into that world nowadays, but like back in the past, you think of great leadership, I think of Teddy Roosevelt. Like, that dude was resolute.
No.
I mean, like, Ronald Reagan was resolute. Like, you don't shake that dude, right? I mean, stuff could be falling all around. And he was the same, I think of my dad. My dad, he's just resolute. Like, you never wonder. Like, I wonder what kind of mood he's going to be in today. I wonder if he still believes the same as he did yesterday. Never once in my life did it go, I wonder what my dad's thinking today. Like, I know. Like, I already knew he was the same because his foundation was the same. His principles were the same.
And just to clarify, does that mean that bad stuff doesn't happen? That you get into some moods and stuff like that? And no, that it doesn't. These people don't. They're not perfect. They're not. Everything isn't just like exactly in line the way that it's supposed to be. I mean, you guys have all seen that old adage where people think that success or failure to success is a straight line, but it's actually this wiggly line and stuff like that. And there's gonna be detours on the way, but the fact of the matter is you're gonna stay in the guardrails. Your pillars and your principles are guardrails that guide you. So instead of having bad days, they have bad moments.
Right. Yep. It's how they react to stuff that happens to them. That's the only difference.
That's right. And that's the biggest difference. They don't have bad days. They have bad moments. So their guardrails are in place to go like, oh, getting too close to this side. Let's move it back.
It's like a rumble strip.
Right.
Yep.
Let's move it back. And that's kind of what it is in your life.
Yeah, for sure. And to build on that is, I don't know what I was going to say. I had it.
Dude,
and
it was
floated
so good.
away.
It was so good. I was feeling it. I was feeling it.
Stay
over
tuned.
here.
Next episode, I'll throw it in
The
there
rumble
somewhere.
strips? Was it the guide?
It'll be a squirrel.
Rumble strips are important because I do a lot of stuff when I'm driving. I'm like John Maxwell. There's like 7 things I do when I'm in the car, and the last one is driving.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So the rumble strips are important. They made them for me, and I'm grateful for them. And everybody else should be grateful.
And you lost your thought.
And I lost my thought. But that was still a fun conversation we just had. Chris, on to you.
On to me. So whenever you think about being resolute, and we've talked about this in the past, you make a decision, you make the right decision. If you have your foundation right, like what we talked about, it's very important to be purposeful in that moment to get that foundation, find out what your non-negotiables are, because then when you do make a decision, you can result back to what your non-negotiables are. You already know which way you need to go, which way you don't need to sway, and stays true to your decision, and then you can make that decision right. So I see that being resolute and having that power can help you be a decision maker. It can help you become a leader. It can help you set the right example in your community, your family, and in a lot of different areas. And what other powers do you guys see that resolute can provide someone?
Well, I think it helps you be more productive in the sense that you make those decisions and you move on because you're making them based on your value system. You're making them based on something, not just like, I'm going to make this decision and see what happens. I mean, sometimes you do have to see what happens, but like you said, typically if you're resolute, you're making a decision, then you're making it the right decision. So it's not a crapshoot. It's all based on something. It's all based on your equation for your life. So I think it allows you to move on to the next thing more quickly, right? Mm-hmm. Like I can work my calendar more effectively. I can work my life more effectively. I can be more productive in my society and in my community. Because I already know, like now, O'Neill mentioned the whole slow down. I think it was O'Neill mentioned the whole slow down to speed up thing recently on a post. Was that you put it on a post? And it was a good reminder to me, like, because there is that time where you go, it maybe by yourself in the quiet when you go, okay, let's take some time. John Maxwell talks about this. He says every year he stops and like looks back through everything he did from the previous year. He takes like a day or two away from everybody and he reflects on the previous year. And I would imagine during that time he's reestablishing his foundation, his goals, his values, his principles, and working to get better, working to do different. But then once he's done it, he's building from it. Once he's made the decision on what's important and what the foundation is going to be, then you can just grow from it. So he did slow down during that, because some people would be like, man, you sat there for a day thinking about this stuff? Yeah, but for 364 other ones, he kicked your ass.
That's true.
Right? Because he took the time to slow down to speed up.
Yep.
That's so powerful. I mean, you imagine what you can get and gain from that knowledge of retrospect in that year of all the pitfalls and all the successes. And you're talking about how, we were just talking about having a self-image, ante up. If you could go back and go count all the victories, how much is that going to benefit you as a person having such a great self-image in that regard? And then also the failures you get to learn from. And then you're constantly sharpening that sword so that you can actually be better and better and better. That's huge. And being resolute in that decision is freeing. But I think that if the men in the world would be more resolute today, I think that evil wouldn't prevail so easily. I think that we would be back to what we've been talking about, what this movement was all about, is to become men of stature, of valor, of being resolute in the sense of just, man, staying true to what you say you're going to do.
It's called integrity. There's certain things that are timeless. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter what technology changes. Doesn't matter what new cars they come out with or anything like that. There's certain things that are just human traits that are required of a person of integrity, right? And that's what your principles and your non-negotiables should be based on. Don't base your non-negotiables on things that change, right? Like right. just to start off with,
kind of an oxymoron, isn't it?
Yeah, right. So like it's like, hey, my non-negotiable is I'm gonna have the newest car that's out there. Every time that's silly.
My non-negotiable is the direction of the wind.
That's right. I want to make sure that I'm pointing in the direction of the wind. So I think one of the biggest benefits, though, is it moves you from being the thermometer to being the thermostat. Mm-hmm. So it's like we just talked about, staying on your path. And I'm glad that you said something about John Maxwell, how he looks back, because what we do in my career from an engineering standpoint and reliability is we create different solutions for problems that we have, but we have something that's called a PDCA process. So it's plan, do, check, and adjust. So you put a game plan out there, you engineer out an issue or whatever it may be, your solution that you have, like this FMEA that we just did last week. And then what we'll do is in 3 years, we'll do what's called the PDCA process, and we'll do a plan, do, check, adjust. And it's a perpetual cycle. You constantly do it because what it does is it lets you know that you're still on track. Like, okay, we're good. We're where we said we were going to be, because it's very easy to get drift. Right, and I call it mind drift. You'll set your goals, and if you never look at your goals again, and you don't do, and for me personally, I would prefer like a 3-month cycle. Am I still on track? I don't think you should do it every day, just because it'll wear you down. But at least every once in a while, take some time and look back at your goal and say, am I still on track for where I intended to be? Because if you don't do that, you will drift. It's just the nature of it. You're gonna drift. So when your principles are in line and stuff like that, it will help you. Now, when you have when you're principle based and you have those non-negotiables very clear, and there's that clarity there, you're less likely to drift as far.
Right.
But you're still gonna drift. But they will help you, because it's like playing the operation game, right? When you hit the side, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Just like you were talking about in the last one. Like, there's certain things that you do. Somebody was asking me about if you know that, like, when do you know that you're a good Christian? Is it you stop doing bad things? Or you stop? I said, no. Christians still have problems just like everybody else. They still make mistakes. They still sin just like other people do. But when they sin, they feel convicted afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
When somebody else sins, they don't feel convicted afterwards. When you have principles and non-negotiables and you break one of those, you feel convicted. Yep. When somebody doesn't have it, they just keep moving.
Yep.
They just go that direction. Just keep going.
Well, life's going to pull at you, right? I mean, like the natural. You said it's a natural thing to drift. It's so true. I mean, like you just like there's so, especially nowadays, there's so many things that are vying for your time, and there's so many things that are like catching your eye with so much stimulation.
Yep.
In your life with your little phone. There's so many different channels that can distract you and make you drift. And you were talking about the boat with the anchor earlier, and I think that's a great visualization of that. Is a boat's going to drift regardless, but if you put an anchor down, it can only drift so far, right? Like the current may change or the wind may change, and you may drift around. But if that anchor is solid and it's big enough to keep the boat in place, like if you got a little 5-pound mushroom, it ain't going to work. But so that's not resolute. That's kind of thinking something's a good idea. But when you have a real anchor, a real resolute value in your life, then the boat can only go so far before it's going to get pulled back. Right, that's the importance of it. That makes a lot of sense in my brain, anyways.
Yep. No, that's a
perfect.
great visual.
It's awesome. That's basically all I wanted to talk about in this episode because I want to keep it short. It's not supposed to be complex. Being resolute is a decision every single day that you have to make, but you have to know where you start. You have to have that chiseled. So I want to challenge the listeners in this table, if you haven't already, and you don't have something chiseled in stone of what your non-negotiables are to help you become and stay resolute, I want you to do that. I want you to take the time to truly figure out what it is for you and your family and your household. Do you guys have anything else to add before I finish? Okay.
I would. The only thing that I would say is the same thing with like goals when you're doing goal setting and things of that nature. Don't go out there and go, I'm gonna put out 25 principles that I'm gonna live my life off of. Yeah. Build some pillars. Like non-negotiables should probably be maybe 5 to 10 at the most, but five pillars to hold up your building that everything is based off of, and they should all be different categories to keep you in line in different areas of your life.
So what? Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you want to keep it even simpler than that, I think that's great. But think about what it takes for a chair or a table to stand up.
Yep.
Or a stool.
3
to 4.
Mm-hmm.
And it will stand. If you have less than that, it's going to fall over. If you have more than that, it can be overkill, right? But if you got 3 to 4, it'll stand. You can stand on that.
Yep.
So one thing I do want to say, and I just came up with this, that we're going to sit and do some time to come up with our own non-negotiables as shepherds and men at this table. And then we're going to share it with our public and people that are out there listening so that you can get an idea of what we believe and what our true pillars are. Okay? But in wrapping up, I want to make sure that you guys really take the time to do this. You realize you only have one life to live. I mean, how much time have you given thought about that? What at the end of this, your season of life, what is it going to look like? What are you going to accomplish? You should have meaning, and you are here for a reason, so go find it. As a resolute man, know that it's your responsibility to do the right thing and stand up for those who want to do evil. Evil men prevail because good men do nothing to stop them. Be a resolute man and stand up for your beliefs. Take a stand against evil, and together we can change the world. Hope this helped. Be resolute and go become. This is the Movement.